unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hello, welcome in Guerrilla Sports Off Ice Postgame Live. Jesse Montano, Meghan, Angley, and wow, oh my God, that was terrible.
That was so bad.
Avs dropped this one 3-1 to the St. Louis Blues. And Meghan, it was a good start. We said, hey, we like a lot of the things they did here. Let's see them build on it. In the second intermission, we said not only did they not build on it, they went the opposite direction. St. Louis took over. You need a really strong push, coming out early, getting on the Blues fast, getting a goal to get yourself back into it. They did none of that. They got pushed around for the first 10 minutes of the third period by the St. Louis Blues. And you and I were joking and saying, look, even all the controversy around Jordan Binnington going into the Four Nations was that, hey, if you make him play a full 60, he might give up some softies. If you're only making him play the last 5 minutes in a game where he's holding on to a 2-1 lead, yeah, Jordan Binnington has shown that he can show up in those moments. The Avs didn't get to him anywhere near enough. And they go 0-2 on this short 2-game road trip against two non-playoff teams, two of the worst teams in the West. They went out looking for 4 points. They came home with none. Meghan, your thoughts on whatever that just was that we watched?
They just didn't come as competitive as St. Louis did. St. Louis outskated them. And typically, the area of the Avs game that I worry about the least is their speed and winning a foot race.
Mm-hmm.
And that became a huge issue for them, particularly in the third period. But it's the story of the whole game. You know, the first period, it's good enough to start this game on the second leg of a back-to-back. You like a lot of what they built there. But then everything that follows just isn't good enough to make up for just an okay first period. They're chasing this game the rest of the way. And they don't have enough gas in their tank to do so effectively. But it's tough because St. Louis also on the second leg of a back-to-back of their own, they dug in deeper and they found a little bit of the energy that they needed to make this a more complete game on their end. So it didn't make the Avs night any easier, but it's disappointing.
It's I think disappointing. That's the word. And you know, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people like get in the chat here, angry, frustrated, things like that. I get it. You know, you go 2 weeks with the Avs not playing and for them to come back. And again, the struggle with last night, and you and I talked about this, you guys can go check out last night's post-game show over on the Guerrilla Sports YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. We said, hey, look, there was a lot of process that was really good last night in Nashville, but you didn't get the result. So it's hard to feel really good about a lot of that, but hey, good process. You like the things that you did. Tonight, it's frustrating because not only do you not get the result, but the process just really wasn't there, save for the first 15 minutes of the game. And look, like you are at the point of the season where there is nothing that you can do but try to turn the page, get back home. You get 2 days off. You know, they're not practicing tomorrow, but it's going to be that first, like you said, big debrief after the break. Jared Bednar probably presenting a lot of the stuff that he looked at analytically during the 2 weeks off. But as if it wasn't already time to go with 25 games left, now you got 23 games left, and you really got to figure out something here to get a result on, what is it, Wednesday?
Yeah, it doesn't get easier. They have the New Jersey Devils coming up next, one of the biggest competitors in the East, and it's going to be an interesting homestand for Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get into something of a regular routine with some consistent games at home, which is great, but it eliminates even more room for excuses. You know, we've never loved the result coming out of a break for the Avs, usually out of the holiday break. It's not very good for them, but it is a point in the year that they just can't afford to be losing these games. And you look at the competition that they faced this weekend, you know, a Nashville team that has, we all know the story of their season. It's been a struggle for them.
Yeah.
And maybe they found some offense lately, but they got goalied. And then here tonight, they just got outcompeted because the St. Louis Blues wanted to win this game more.
Yeah.
So that, that feels a little self-inflicted, because I at least liked the process yesterday. And I even reflect like the Edmonton game, which was a really triumphant game. I had concerns around the process because it wasn't sustainable for a team that needs to be deep and needs to get scoring from throughout the lineup. I was like, I'm just really nervous. This needs to be an area that they address over the break or ahead of the deadline, which is why I like Nashville. I was like, okay, I think that a little bit more people are digging in this way. And so it just makes that follow-up performance to the Nashville game with the St. Louis game today feel that much more disappointing, as it falls off from what I thought was an otherwise good process coming out of the break.
Right. And I think that is the part that, and we're going to get into some of the specifics here. We'll talk about the goals and, what we saw from a couple guys in particular. But yeah, not to be completely repetitive here of what you just said, but that is the part for me that you really don't like about tonight, is that, look, I'm the number one proponent of, you're not going to win every night. You're just not. Both teams have a say in the outcome of the game. St. Louis is fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive. That is the one part of this, is you have to remember is, yes, St. Louis is here to compete and play as well. But to me, that was the product of what we saw last night, where, yes, Nashville had a say in that game as well. They had a say in the way it came out. UC Soros had a say in the result in last night's game. But overall, the Avs played well. Tonight, it didn't feel like he made the Blues earn any part of this victory. I just felt like the Avs handed it to him. And even late, you audibly reacted at one point, because the Avs were getting ready to move up ice on an extended shift in their own zone, and they reversed it back on kind of like a lazy half reverse play. And it just, you said going to that third period that they needed to clock in. It just felt like nobody punched the clock until about 5 minutes left.
They no call, no showed until the final minutes of that game. And it's pretty frustrating. You're getting me angry again, just thinking about what should have been a clear breakout and transition up ice, only to be back in their own end and lead to an extended shift from St. Louis and a high danger chance on net for Mackenzie Blackwood. That poor man, he needs to have his own place in the presentation tomorrow after the Four Nations guys talk about what they learned, just to shame the rest of the team, make them all sing "I'm a Little Teapot" or something.
Just give him the floor.
Yeah, just give him the floor. Whatever he wants, you need to give it to him, because this wasn't very fair. But it is because, you talk about how the Avs didn't make St. Louis earn what they got. And honestly, some of that too is St. Louis just being a step quicker and a little bit more engaged. So, to that end, they did earn it, but the Avs didn't make it very hard for them.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
What I want to say too is the Avs didn't make St. Louis make it difficult for them to earn their chances, because the Avs just kind of didn't push very hard. Yeah. So St. Louis didn't have to do much to limit their own chances in terms of what the Avs were trying to create. The Avs kind of stabbed themselves in the foot. That, I don't think that's an expression.
You can stab yourself in the foot.
You can
shoot yourself in the foot. You can stab yourself. You can I stubbed my toe yesterday. I stubbed the second toe in from the pinky, though, a real sensitive one. You can do that. They
stabbed themselves in the second toe from the pinky tonight because St. Louis won. Gotta give Monty a shout out here. Yeah. They made in-game adjustments. Some of the, even seeing Casey Middlestat try to steal the puck in the center ice from the second period, it was how Nathan MacKinnon was able to earn them a goal earlier in the game. And so they played much stronger blue line to blue line in the third period, making it very difficult for the Avs to gain entry cleanly. And they were, to your frustration, dumping the puck in, but they didn't have the gas to skate and chase the pucks. They were coughing up pucks instantly, no possession. And so it made it easy for the Blues to defend against what the Avs were trying to do in transition. I'll put it in quotations.
No, I appreciate you doing
that.
This
was fake news through the neutral zone. It shouldn't have been that, because this is a team that thrives with their speed up ice, and it just was not the case, especially tonight in the third period.
You made such a great statement there, because I was getting frustrated watching these guys, because it was clear they were trying, and we heard so much talk about it during the Four Nations tournament. The Avs were trying not to put it so deep that Jordan Binnington could go out and either disrupt a forecheck or start a breakout. Okay, fine. but they were putting it into the corners, and really all they were doing was just giving the puck back to St. Louis. And the statement that you made, you said, if you don't have the legs to skate it, what makes you think you have the legs to go get it? And that was the part to me that I was just banging my head against a wall. And finally, for the first time in that third period, Nathan MacKinnon came through the neutral zone with speed, hit Ross Colton on the wall, and Colton skated the puck in, carried the puck in, drove the net, got a shot on net himself, collected a rebound, and the Avs were able to dial up a second opportunity. And it was so mind-boggling to watch them continue to beat their head against the wall of, well, they're just kind of trapping in the neutral zone, so dump it and go get it. I can't go get it, though, so I'll dump it. Will someone else go get it? Will someone else? Oh, never mind, they're coming the other way. It was like, holy smokes. What are we watching here?
And you know what you don't have the speed for either? Defending on the back check.
Right.
Because they're now coming up ice because you didn't do anything of note in the offensive zone. And so it's just very self-defeating, stabbing yourself in the second toe from the pinky like that.
And everyone knows that that's the most sensitive toe that you could possibly stab yourself in.
I wanted to shout out this Ross Colton thing, though, for a second, because there's truth to this. You look at the natural stat trick numbers coming in for line by line, 5v5, and even less than 3 minutes of Ross Colton being on that line, they have nearly as many Corsi 4 events in under 3 minutes time versus the 9+ minutes that top line had. And so they came close to the same amount of puck touches and the very limited showing of Ross Colton up there. And some of it is just the energy, the engine, Ross Colton entering the zone with speed. Mm-hmm. And just generally, I think they needed that across the lineup. So it's not to call out the top line specifically. This was everybody struggling with this a little bit tonight. But what a difference it makes when you've got a player using speed on the entry like Ross Colton, skating the puck in.
Well, and let me build on that a little bit, because I agree with you. And Ross Colton, and this is not on Ross Colton. I'm not trying to, say, oh, Ross Colton didn't do his job tonight. There's a lot of guys who didn't do their jobs tonight. Ross Colton was one of those guys that I was looking at, though, Meghan, to, in the third period in particular, go out and set the tone. I didn't necessarily even know if he was going to be the guy to get the goal, but I said he's going to go out there, generate some energy, get to the front of the net, lay a big hit, generate a chance, do what we eventually ended up seeing him do, just carry the puck down, jam it down their throat a little bit, pick that puck up off the wall, and he just kind of forced his way to the front, created some havoc. And even him, I just felt like we didn't see it till too late in the period.
No, you're right, because I look at, I want to say, the Holloway goal late in the second period, and look, you're not going to win every battle on the forecheck, so I'm not going to come down hard, but he is among the players who loses the puck, and that initially leads to what I'll call a broken play or a transition opportunity for the Blues up ice, and Drury just doesn't have the legs on the back check to defend against it and lets Holloway beat him to the net. But Taves even gets beat in a race to the puck from Justin Falk. And so it's a series of bad things, and it starts with losing a battle in the offensive zone. And that was not just Ross Colton's problem. So I want to be very clear on that.
Totally.
And honestly, they started this game, I think, coming up with some more wins in puck battles, but it just got worse for them, and it cost them obviously in a big way because, again, going back to not having their legs, they just didn't. But that's where, like, to your point about Colton, it seems like everyone clocked in a little too late for this game. No one's really exempt from that except for Mackenzie Blackwood.
Can you pull that last comment back up, Thomas, from Joseph? Yep, that one right there. Can we stop with the outside passes only? We have no middle of the ice attack. Blues attack the middle constantly, and our soft coverage let them. So I agree with the second part of that the Blues were getting to the middle of the ice way too easily. But the first part of this, Meghan, it's so funny because this is something that I see a lot of people talk about a lot, is the Avs work around the perimeter. And when the Avs are playing the way that the Avs can play, it is that work around the perimeter and the quick puck movement and the player movement. The Avs like to cycle the puck. They kind of popularized within the last few years that high cycle, where instead of moving the puck down below the goal line, we've talked about this before, they like to use the perimeter and lanes on the outside that open up shooting lanes towards the net. The issue is when you're not moving, you're not skating, and you're not retrieving pucks, that high cycle isn't really effective. And especially when you've got guys just standing around, it does turn into just kind of passing and no real attack in the middle. The passing along the perimeter and the cycle out high is all about opening opportunities and lanes through the middle of the ice. But when you're not aggressive with it and you're not attacking the puck, it can look stagnant, especially when guys aren't moving, which I felt like, I'm not going to say that was the sole problem that guys weren't moving, but I felt like I noticed that at several different points tonight where you had guys just kind of standing up, sticks around the waist.
It makes it easy to defend against too, but the high cycle is intentional and works when it's intentional, but the perimeter play being held to only that is consequential because you're not moving enough.
Right.
So, it's kind of like, I don't know, Goofus and Gallant. Like, Goofus is obviously being held to the perimeter because you don't have a choice, and Gallant is intentionally cycling the puck out high because you're highly skilled and you're quick and you're moving the puck quickly and you're moving yourself quickly and you're creating time and space for yourself. And the Avs just weren't doing that. I even go back to problems on the power play. They don't capitalize tonight. I think the issue there more so was the mental fatigue and passes not connecting. But I think also that is a part of why on the man advantage, they have not been as successful as we'd like for them to lately.
And again, I do want to circle back and say, I'm not trying to call out Ross Colton. I didn't think it was on, it's not on him, but in the same way that you kind of called out the third goal of the second period with Jack Drury getting beat to the front of net was representative of the way that things went in that period. I also just, I look at Ross Colton and I say, it's a little bit of a microcosm of the way that things went. Is here's your quintessential grind it out, stuff it in your face, work hard, even on nights where he doesn't have a great night. He's tough to play against. He's annoying, things like that. And I just didn't feel like he really had that jam tonight either, and neither did the Avs. You made the mention, and I thought it was a great call out that, I said earlier the Avs didn't make the Blues earn it. I think the Blues played really hard tonight.
Yes. They set a tone early physically.
They set a tone, and it was the way that the Avs didn't match it. Didn't match that intensity is the part that I wanted to kind of circle back to in terms of, you're right. The Blues did work really hard, and they chose to not take an easy path towards things tonight, but the Avs not meeting that compete level, it just felt like it made it easier for the Blues to continue to kind of ratchet it up. And anytime the Avs did get anything going, the Blues to kind of push them back in the corner because the Avs just didn't match that intensity all night.
No, it's the big takeaway from the game. The Blues showed up and the Avs didn't. You could end the post-game there.
Right.
It's pretty simple, but it is a huge difference between these two teams. St. Louis comes out of the break pretty hungry and they win, and the Avs have dropped now too. And again, I give them credit. I liked a lot of what they did in Nashville, but then they completely abandoned it instead of building upon it. And I still would not go as far to say that this is a team that doesn't care. I would not say that about this group. We see them day in, day out at practice. The work that they put in, it's next level. So I will never say that. But this just felt like, in isolation, a game that they weren't motivated enough.
Good comment here coming through the chat that, look, there's so much you've got to fix coming out of this and coming home. And you got 23 games to go. And granted, this team that there's the comparison to is in a little bit better spot standings wise. The Edmonton Oilers lost 6-3 yesterday and 7-3 today. It's not completely, alien for teams coming out of this break to not perform well, even top teams. But Meghan, do you want to hear the really great news?
What's that?
Alex Ovechkin scored a hat trick tonight.
I was thinking this earlier today, is Jesse going to find a way to make this about Ovechkin? How many away from it? 13?
13 away from breaking the record, 12 away from tying for the all-time mark. They scored 8 goals yesterday, and he didn't have a single one. They got 3 tonight, and I was like, he had to be in on this hat trick.
Interesting.
Only one of them an empty netter.
I'm trying to think, and you know what? He didn't go to Four Nations. Did the players who went to the Four Nations actually suffer at the hands of it? Obviously, Binnington didn't, but he didn't really play that.
Yeah, I'll say he wasn't challenged much tonight. There might be something to it, Meghan, because again, so let's put a positive spin on this as we wind things down here. We don't have a ton more to say. Do you have anything else from the game that you want to get a critique in on? Any other thoughts before we start to wind this down, and we'll pluck a couple positives out so we're not all doom and gloom? Or do you want to go just straight doom and gloom?
No, I just have a question.
Oh, perfect.
Did you know Oliver Shillington played in this game?
I didn't know that until more than halfway through, and I'm not even trying to be funny.
Do you have any thoughts? Honestly, I don't actually have any positive or negative towards Shillington other than I didn't really notice him, which you might feel good about that or bad about that. 13-31, 1 giveaway, 1 takeaway,
he played
1 block
13
shot.
minutes in this game.
He sure did.
Honestly, Megan, let's talk about that pairing, actually. I said before the break that I felt like the last thing Oliver Shillington needed was another break and that he needed to be playing. I would have liked to see them pass him through waivers and send him to the Eagles to go skate.
Reps.
I still feel that way. You've got a bottom pairing in this game that is pure survival mode. Can we get out of these shifts without getting caved in? I think Calvin DeHaan has really struggled the last 2 games. And I think Oliver Shillington continues to look like a guy who needs to play in the American Hockey League, big minutes, a lot of games. When Tyson Barrie went on waivers the other day, someone said, we were in the press room and they said, I don't know, probably not interested. And I said, truthfully, I'd take him and waive Oliver Shillington. Save yourself half the money. That's just where I'm at with Shillington. And tonight, you can't have a pairing of Calvin DeHaan and Oliver Shillington. And I know Jared Bednar is only working with what he's got, but that is something that needs to be addressed. And that's a Chris McFarland thing, not a Jared Bednar thing.
No, I think he needs just a completely different option for the third pairing and kind of around it. Like, I like what Malinsky and Girard have done in 2 games time. So it's not enough for me to put a full vote of confidence. Like, right, if Josh Manson isn't healthy, just send it with the Sams. I don't feel confident with that. But the third pair is a problem because DeHaan has been tough the last couple of outings now that I've seen from him. And it's the kind of place where Middleton is not strong enough as an NHL player just yet to carry the pair or stabilize it in any way. So he might not actively hurt it, but he's not helping it. And it's too weak in how it is constructed currently. And the same is true of Shillington. The way I just described Middleton, copy paste, he's just not strong enough to carry it. And it's going to then have a negative impact instead of at minimum neutral. And that's a problem for your third pair. It needs to be at least reliable and steady, even if limited in usage. It's not right now with Manson out too. It just kind of heightens why this is a problem. So I think it is something we've already talked about the front office will need to address, but it just becomes more dire. I'm looking at my watch every second. It's going to come in, my watch and my phone, because something's going to come in. They'll put in a claim on Valimaki. I'm just kidding. They probably aren't high enough in the waiver wire to really get him. But
I'd be willing to bet they will put in a claim on him, but I'm not confident that he makes it that far. Well, then the other part of this too, being fair to Oliver Shillington, you're also in this third pairing role 13 minutes a night with Calvin DeHaan. You're not putting him out there in any situations that are going to play to his strengths. He's supposed to be a good skating, puck moving type defenseman. You're asking him to go out there and cover up for Calvin DeHaan's mistakes. Very few ozone starts. On top of all of the struggles that he is having, you're also just not going to be able to put him in a spot that he's going to, be able to be super effective.
Look, everyone knows I'm a proud card-carrying member of Sam Malinsky Nation, but I felt like his struggles at points this season were being hampered by what was going on the third pairing. I do think this is similar to, no, I won't go there.
Do it.
Jack Johnson used to make his pairings worse. Like, just, they were more effective away from him than they were with. And it just feels like a similar, it's not getting better, and it actually might be making this player worse. And I think that could be true of Middleton, of Shillington, of Malinsky. And it's not even to single out just DeHaan. They just need a better answer there that's going to at least neutralize that third pairing.
Right. the couple positives I was going to pull out are the fact that, what you mentioned about players that didn't go to Four Nations. I think there are a couple of these players who do look better. Sam Malinsky. I actually think Casey Middlestat, again, in a vacuum, has looked better these last couple games than maybe even the 2 games leading into the break. That play that he made in the neutral zone today to strip a player of the puck and then go in on an opportunity of his own, that was not something we had seen in a while. From Casey Middlestat, him making the play and then turning it into an offensive opportunity. Good to see Sam Girard out there after taking a puck to the face last night. I don't think it's, all terrible from this game or even what the Avs have gotten in these first 2. But the fact of the matter is you haven't gotten the result that you needed. And Calgary, a team that's chasing you, is playing San Jose. Vancouver, a team that's chasing you, is playing Utah. So you have an easy strength of schedule here the rest of the way. Avs got to get it figured out and start stacking some points. Truthfully, if you're the Avs, you figure it out when you get to the playoffs. You got to make it there first. I don't care how they get there. I don't care if it's pretty. They got to start finding ways to grind stuff out and stop. Win the games that you should. Both these games were games that they should have won. You got to stop giving those away.
Yeah, because going back to the Middlestat conversation that we've been having now for some time of should he stay, should he go, does he make sense, is he a good fit, is he an anchor on this team? It doesn't matter in the immediate goal of winning games because he's on this team right now. So they need to do whatever they can to put a lineup together on a nightly basis that gives them a chance to win. Understandably, that might be in future planning of, all right, maybe Casey Middlestat isn't a future fit, but it's not exclusive to just him. We're talking about some other areas of weakness. And that's the reality is they needed to do whatever it took to win these games this weekend with Middlestat in the lineup and Middleton or DeHaan in the lineup and in the absence of Nichushkin and Manson. That was just the hand they were dealt. That was their fate. And they need to dig deeper then when the hand that they're dealt isn't necessarily the desirable or best one. They just need to dig deeper.
No practice for the Avs tomorrow. So any potential excuse that they might have of guys being tired on the back-to-back, coming off the Four Nations tournament, anything like that, they're going to get a couple days off, including no practice tomorrow. Then the New Jersey Devils come to town on Wednesday. Oh my gosh. Wednesday.
They might be here Tuesday.
They might be here Tuesday. Maybe the Devils are coming to town Tuesday and they're just going to hang out. Then we'll see them at Ball Arena on Wednesday. But we'll be back at it tomorrow. Gorilla Sports Off Ice special guest coming in tomorrow. Looking forward to bringing you that one. That will be at our normal time tomorrow on Monday. Pucks and Prosecco on Tuesday. And Meghan, I'm becoming you guys' biggest fan of the show with what I know is coming up here very soon. I think people are going to absolutely love some surprises that you and Chloe got cooking up for Pucks and Prosecco. Cool stuff coming. Busy week. Back at it. 25 games to go. Trade deadline about 2 weeks away. 23 games to go. Trade deadline about 2 weeks away. Plenty to talk about. She's Meghan Angley. I'm Jesse Montano. Thomas behind the glass tonight. Making sure you guys can see us and hear us. Thanks so much for tuning in all night long. We will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one.